every time I hear that Wickenheiser scores, I get chills. It's the best hockey game I've ever seen.
I agree, Ron. And one of the guys that had a hand in that was sitting down there, the Hall of Famer Bernie Federko.
Yes, that's right.
And Mr. Sutter here had a big hand in that. And I know the late Doug Wickenheiser's wife is here tonight. So
well,
yeah, I think it was the most famous Blues goal in their wonderful history.
Well, I recall sitting next to Dan in the broadcast booth, and it was literally shaking in that old building. I thought that building was going to come down. What made your dad so special?
You know, Ron, I've been asked that question a lot of times. I think a couple of things. Number one, he had a great love for the game of hockey. He had great respect for the players, for the coaches, for the owners, and I think that respect came through in his voice. And speaking of his voice, God gave him great pipes. We know that, and he knew how to use them. And not every broadcaster knows how to use great pipes, but a goal in October that made the score 6-1 did not have the same impact in his mind and his voice as a goal in April or May in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He knew how to use the voice, and I think he was blessed with God-given abilities, but also a great love for the game and knew how to use his talents.
And you know what? You know, you could turn on the game in the middle of the game, and you could almost tell who's winning, if the Blues are winning or losing.
You could, and I know that, you know, I get asked a lot about him, and Ron, the biggest memory that people have about my dad, or one of the memories from St. Louisans, is that they would go to bed at night and have a transistor radio under their pillow listening to Dan Kelly when they really should have been sleeping. And I knew as a kid, when I was in bed, I did the same thing, and I could tell when my dad's voice started to rise with excitement, Sutter to Federko, my ears perked up, and I think a lot of people's did. He just had a way of conveying the excitement of the game through his voice on the radio, and I know he would be very proud to be here tonight and certainly be proud of all the honorees, but especially to be inducted tonight with two of my dad's all-time favorites, Brian Sutter and Bob Plager.
Yeah, no question. Your dad was my best friend, and I don't mean to be a downer, but I remember the day he called me and told me he was dying, and just pray for me. And it was a tough time for me, certainly, but it must have been a tough time for you, and your mom is here tonight. I know that.
Yeah, to this day, it's hard to believe that he's been gone 25 years.
Yeah.
My mom is here, and three of my sisters, and my daughter, and we all miss him very much.
Finally, I could tell a little bit in your voice at times. There's a little bit of Dan there. Did you try to copy him at all?
I don't think you could, Ron.
Well,
he was too good. No, whatever I do is genetics, and you know, he said to me when I was a young announcer, just, you know, don't imitate me, be your own guy, and but obviously some of the characteristics he had were passed on, and I'm very proud of that.
And I remember you did one game with him, didn't you?
I did one game. It was his, I believe, his last road game.
It was in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, and the Blues had not won a game in Philadelphia at the old Spectrum since the night in the early 70s when this gentleman down here, Bob Plager, went in the crowd and started tomahawk hunting and fighting police. The Blues won that game that night.
And didn't win until, all right?
And they didn't win another game until in that game, and my dad asked me to come to Philly that night. I was doing the Ranger games, and I sat with him that night, and the Blues won. I believe the score was 3-1.
Yeah, that was the night the police came with the player went in the stands, and there were some arrests made.
Yeah, everybody on the team got arrested except Plager, the instigator, who was hiding in the showers in the locker room.
Well, we'll hear from him later.
Yeah.
John, thank you for coming, and we're just delighted to induct your father in the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
It's a great honor, Ron, and thank you very much to everybody.
You're welcome.